Most people have predicted that we would never make any of these stages.
From first thing this morning, Peace Conference co-chairman Lord Owen was on the air trying to correct the impression that the upsurge in Croat-Serb fighting in the UN-protected zones of Croatia was threatening the whole peace process. Also to rectify the impression that the talks on Bosnia-Herzegovina are close to breakdown. Perceptions about what's happening here are different from reality. Lord Owen's long haul, the fine detail, is producing results. They don't make headlines, but issue by issue, the complex Rubik's Cube of UN peace proposals is beginning to fall into place. To journalists hungry for news, the Bosnia president, Alija Izetbegović, this afternoon brought a gloomy diagnosis.
I have to be frank, I personally don't see any progress right now.
President Izetbegović painted a grim picture of people still dying, of battles still engaged, of an irrelevant peace process. Yet, would he walk out or would he remain here?
Yes, we are remaining.
That's because behind the white stone walls of the Palais des Nations, detailed discussions are proceeding between officials at many levels on a dozen constitutional issues, like defense and human rights, usually on a bilateral basis. A process behind closed doors, unseen by cameras and journalists, fluid, unstructured, where too much public comment would jeopardize the whole process.
That type of detailed, constructive dialogue of toing and froing is taking place. Whether it will produce an overall agreement, it is too early to say.
In the federal Bosnia being quietly discussed here, under centralized state control, will be foreign affairs, national taxation, national defense and citizenship. Under independent control will be a central bank, the currency and the electricity grid. But each new province is likely to gain control of education, radio and television, mining and agriculture, roads, police and local taxation once the overall maps have been agreed.
We are making maps, and they should
Crucial
not
for the moment is the delineating of the 10 new provinces, the agreeing of lines on the new map. Dr. Karadzic and the Bosnian Serbs giving up part of the 70% of Bosnia they have seized, now involved in detailed haggling over specific ethnic borders. Here, for example, with Croatia.
And we have already agreed upon a few tens of kilometers between Serbs and Croats here in Livno municipality and Glamoč municipality, and that's for us history. Croats recognize that this part should belong to the Serbs, and that this line is just. So we are making sort of history. Those lines are like lines of republics in Yugoslavia, and they shouldn't be drawn out arbitrarily, because if we do arbitrarily or if we impose those lines, then the lines are going to be cause of another war.
But the multilateral arguments over hundreds of miles of map borders are a delicate, highly emotive process. General Mladic, the Bosnian Serb military commander who masterminded the seizing of territory, awaits in Dr. Karadzic's shadows, cautioning against giving away too much. And far from Geneva, in Bosnia itself, examples like the village of Lisac, Muslim since the 15th century, which will be under Croat control in a new Croat province. It is a transition these Bosnian Muslims, for example, will resist, saying they will fight off the Croats when they take over. And for the Bosnians under President Izetbegović, it is concern for such Muslims being put under foreign control and a sense of their weakening negotiating position, which is forcing them to dismiss all public talk of maps. Negotiations here, they say, are doing nothing for the thousands still dying.
The map is not acceptable as it is. So that is what's true. Now, the problem is that we are sitting here where people are being killed. We cannot do that anymore. We have to stop the killing of the population.
But close thought has to be given to the long-term future. The Bosnian Prime Minister, a Croat, identifying a main source of future instability.
When the war finishes, we are also afraid of many private wars, you know. Everybody would like to make revenge to someone else for many murders, many killings, and so on.
How can the provinces be policed in future to guarantee some kind of safety and security?
Bosnian police force should do the maximum, you know, but we should also need the help, international help.
It's easy to jump to quick, often pessimistic conclusions listening to the gloomy public pronouncements from the three warring factions, yet sources here confirm reality is different. There is a diplomatic twin track, posturing sometimes apocalyptically for public consumption while quietly negotiating their way through the nitty-gritty at many levels. Nick Gowing, Channel 4 News, Geneva.